Good morning and welcome to our webinar, Meet the EdTA Staff. We're here at our headquarters in Cincinnati, Ohio with several members of the EdTA staff, and I'm excited for you to meet them. One thing that inspires me about the staff is that we have all chosen to make our profession to come in every day and serve our mission of supporting theater education. Many of you chose your profession to work with students or to be involved in theater. We've chosen for our profession to serve you. I wish you could meet every single person on the EdTA staff, but we're going to do this in about 30 minutes, so I've invited some of them to meet you here today. Speaking of which, one of the questions I get sometimes is, how many staff do we have in Cincinnati? And wow, it seems like the staff has grown and there's a lot of new faces. Well, we have grown, and I'd like to share why. We are a growing and dynamic association, and if you compare our association to 15 years ago or 30 years ago, it's incredible how many more people we serve today. This is a chart showing our inductions of new thespians, our attendance at the festival, and our staff over the last 30 years. So you can see back in 1990 with the yellow little people that we inducted 26,000 students that year. And then we grew to 34,000 students in 2005, and now we're going to be inducting 65,000 students next year. We've seen similar growth in our festival, where we were serving 1,800 students back in 1990. And next year, as we move to Indiana University, we plan to serve over 5,000 students. Our staff has grown the same way to support all these new people. And we are now at 42 people in our offices in Cincinnati. Beyond serving a lot more people, we've actually also added a lot more programs and services. So this is a list of some of the new things that we've done in the last 5 years. We've added a lot of innovation. We've moved things to digital, such as the online community, Theater Educator Pro, which is our professional development for teachers and students that's all done online. We've moved dramatics online, and we're continuing to send the print publication. We're doing a lot more work on advocacy with the Advocacy Leadership Network across many state chapters and hosting our own Theater Education Advocacy Day. And we have a lot more resources for teachers to advocate and to teach to standards. We also launched the Educational Theater Foundation 2 years ago, and with that, we've increased our grants and scholarships. And finally, we're serving our chapters with a lot more services, such as risk management, insurance, and technology support. And these are just some of the new initiatives we've done in the last 5 years. All of these things are administered by EdTA staff. The ideas, the implementation, and the ongoing service all comes from the staff out of this office. So let's talk a little bit about how we structure the staff in the office. We have what we call the 3 circle teams. And these teams are education and content, external, and infrastructure. One analogy that's been helpful for me to explain this is thinking about a school district. Think of me as the superintendent. I'm Julie Theobald, the executive director. I also serve as president of the Educational Theater Foundation. And then think of the 3 circle team leaders as the building principals of 3 buildings in the school district. And each of these circle teams is led by a chief leader. So for example, the education and content team is led by Alison Dolan, who you'll meet in a minute. She's our chief content officer, and she oversees the departments in this circle: the events, the content, education, advocacy, and marketing. Think of the education and content team as all the things that are specific to theater education that really fit our mission. Then you move to our next team. Our next circle team is the external team, led by Hans, our Chief Relationship Officer. And this team really focuses on the field and the people. So this team is taking all those things developed by the content team and bringing them out to the members. They focus on serving members, serving chapters, and engaging with all the community stakeholders. And then our third team is the infrastructure team. And this team really makes all of our jobs easier by supporting all the things that happen in an office and in an operation. This team is led by Brian. He's our Chief Operating Officer, and he handles our finances, human resources, technology, operations, and project support. And then our dotted line over on the side is our development team, or ETF, the Educational Theater Foundation. That's led by Marion. And that team is raising money to help support all the other things that the teams are doing. So now I'm going to introduce you to several people who are on these teams. I'll let you get to know a little bit about them personally and what they do at EdTA. I'll start with myself. I'm Julie Theobald. I'm the executive director. And I want to share a fun fact, which is I've done musical theater since I was 9 years old, but my first big break was when I got cast as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And that was such a big deal to me and my entire family. And it's one of the highlights of my childhood, really. We got our first family pet that year, and we named our dog Toto, and she lived for 17 years. In terms of what I do here at EdTA, I lead the association and the foundation, so I support all the staff and members and leaders. And what I'm most proud of as I look back on my time here is the growth that we've had. We know that when a student or a teacher gets involved in this organization, that their life can really be enhanced. They can be more successful. Some of them, it can change their life. And so the more teachers and the more students we serve, the more impact that we're having. So I'm very proud of the growth and the way that we've been able to build the organization to support all that growth, knowing that we're helping so many more people. I'm also proud of launching the foundation because that's really reaching a new audience for us, which is the underserved, people who may not have been able to afford to be inducted or part of the organization or coming to an event. And so that is also very meaningful to me. So now I'd like to introduce you to Brian, who is our Chief Operating Officer.
Good morning, Julie. I thought our friends would like to know that I debuted on stage as Sailor Number 2 in Anything Goes at Cluna Middle School. My favorite roles since have been as the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz, not the same production that Julie was in, but just the same. I really enjoyed my time as a high school English and journalism teacher, but my favorite role has been as a husband and parent of 3. My 3 children are Joey, Sydney, and Isla. I'm most proud of my time at EdTA, especially the work that I and my team have done around developing our core values and impacting the culture and development of our staff. Our staff are the most important resources that we have to serve our members. We're going to introduce Alison Dolan next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Allison. I'm the Chief Content Officer. And among many things I've done in my life, during my college career, I worked as a preschool teacher. And from that experience, and as a mom of 3, I do a really mean rendition of the Itsy Bitsy Spider, as well as many other toddler songs, which serves me well in my theater capacity. As Julie mentioned, I have oversight of the events, content, education, and advocacy here at EdTA. And thus far, my favorite, most proud moment is the launch of the Theater Educator Pro service, bringing professional learning resources to our teachers. I've been lucky enough to partner with Corey Wilkerson, our education manager, on that project, and it's the most exciting thing that I've done in my time here. All right, take it away, Hans.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Hans Weigart. I'm the Chief Relationship Officer, and it would be too easy for those of you who do know me and those I have yet to get to know to put a theater fact on here, but let me start by saying my first role was Papa Bear in Goldilocks and the 3 Bears on the 1st grade. And Papa Bear was the smallest performer on that stage. So instead, my fun fact is non-theater related, and that I took 2nd place in my first ever stand-up paddleboard race last summer here, actually in Ohio. And that is also proof that there is stand-up paddleboarding, not just on the coast states. My key responsibilities here are overseeing our membership chapters, communities, alumni, and as well as producing our special events. What I am most proud of, the launch of our specialized national networks, or Alphabet Soup, as you see here. A lot of acronyms. These are steering committees made up of volunteer leaders from all over the country engaged in membership, alumni, advocacy, student leadership, and development efforts organizational-wide. Back to you, Julie.
So that is our C team. Our C team is me, myself, Allison, Brian, and Hans, and we really are the leadership of the staff. Our core work is running a professional and thriving association and helping to manage that growth and lead that growth. Every year we work on an annual action plan that's part of our strategic plan. We want to make sure that we're doing a great job of the core mission work that serves members and chapters. And we also develop new initiatives that progress the organization to greater impact and innovate. We also build and track the annual budget. And a big part of our job is developing people. We want to grow the capability of our staff as well as our volunteers in the field. And we want to strengthen our culture and strengthen our core values. So that is what the C team does. Now I'm going to shift to each of those three circle teams. The first one is the education and content team, and introduce you to a few of the staff who work on this team. Again, the education and content team is really the part of our staff that's focused specifically on theater education. It's education, events, the magazines, advocacy, websites, and marketing. It's a lot of the things that you as members actually see are developed by this staff. So now I'm going to introduce you to a few of them, starting with Krista.
Hello, everyone. My name is Krista Skiles, and I'm the Associate Content Director and Editor-in-Chief here at the Educational Theater Association. Though my school did not have a thespian troupe, it really was my time acting and directing shows in high school that led to my lifelong love of the arts and to my career in arts administration. So before coming to EdTA, I spent 14 years in marketing and public relations roles at the two-time Tony Award-winning Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park, where my fun fact comes from, which is that in that role, my other duties as assigned included, among many other things, hand modeling, tiger handling, and serving as the guinea pig for a levitation effect for one of our productions. Feel free to ask me about those. I promise they are all true stories. Here at EdTA, my main role is in managing content for our digital and print publications. And I love getting to share those stories because it brings me close to our mission. Every day, I get to see the power that theater education has for students. My husband is a former high school teacher for theater and also runs a theater program at a local university. So that's something that I get to see every day in my own life as well. What I'm most proud of is launching dramatics.org, where we took our dramatics content and put it online for the first time and are able to develop many more stories and share more stories about what our thespians are doing. So if you have stories that you think that we should be sharing there, or if you have feedback about the kinds of stories that we are sharing, I hope that you'll reach out to me or to our managing editor, Anita Martin, so that we can share more thespian stories with all of our members. And now I'd like to turn it over to Corey.
Thank you, Krista. Good morning, everybody. My name is Corey Wilkerson. I am the EdTA Education Manager, and my job is to build, maintain, and sustain the online professional learning resources that you see on Theater Educator Pro. And I got to work with awesome Allison to build that, and I'm very proud of that. That is my most proud thing here at EdTA. My fun fact is really a teaching fact. I'm a former theater teacher. And my fun fact was that my first teaching job was when I was 13 years old, and I was hired to teach the summer reading program at the library. For 2 weeks, I worked with second and third graders, and I made them do plays, launching my career as a theater teacher. As a theater teacher, my specialty, I was certified K through 12, but I specialized in elementary and elementary and middle school teaching. I spent 10 years teaching middle school and just loved it. Taught K through 8 in a charter school and high school in an after school program. And then I kind of began to do some more consulting, and my consulting took over from my theater job. I was a consultant to EdTA on a lot of the education initiatives that they did prior to Theater Educator Pro. And so I was really excited when the education manager job was posted, and I jumped at the chance to apply, and I even luckier got to get the job. So now I've gone from Thespian of the Year in my high school troupe to a theater teacher to serving theater teachers. So I really feel like I've come home. I'm so excited to be here. I welcome any comments or questions or ideas you have for professional learning opportunities. Feel free to contact me. And now I'm going to pass it over to Becca.
Thanks, Corey. Hi, everyone. My name is Becca Wren. I'm the Events Assistant Manager here at EdTA. My fun fact, I am a passionate audience member only when it comes to theater, but I'm no stranger to the stage. I took tap, jazz, and ballet lessons for 14 years. My key responsibilities here at the association, I oversee and manage the teaching artists and workshops for the International Thespian Festival and the EdTA National Conference. I work with the team on the Thespies program and oversee the Thespies committee. And I also work with my colleague Sarah on our college audition process at ITF. I'm most proud of at EdTA doing great work on our project support services team that made my promotion to events possible. And as an event team member, I'm just proud of the events that we put on. It takes a lot of dedicated work from our entire staff to offer ITF and conference, and it's a great experience for teachers and students alike, and we're really proud of that. So I'm going to turn it back over to Allison so you can learn more about our education and content team.
Right, so I'm glad you all have gotten to meet Corey, Krista, and Becca. They're among a wonderful, enthusiastic, and passionate staff who work on the following things. So the events team is primarily responsible for our two signature events, the International Thespian Festival, which is very much an effort to organize the chaos of all of the programming that happens there for 4,500 students and teachers over the course of a week. And of course, our national conference is all about the teachers and enriching teachers' professional development, community, and passion for the work that you do. On the content front, we produce dramatics and teaching theater magazines, as well as the companion site dramatics.org to help students and teachers hone their crafts. And as Krista alluded to, we get to tell some amazing member stories, which is awesome. We manage the association's websites, social media, and email, communicate and promote EdTA's programs to members, the public, and the media, and all of the national materials, branding, and across the association, including the resources that are used by chapters and troops, those all happen in our content team. And then finally, on the advocacy and education front, all of Corey's work and Jim Palmerini's in the advocacy area in terms of the Advocacy Leadership Network, Theater Advocacy, Education Advocacy Day, that all happens there. Including partnering with many other arts education organizations to be thought leaders in the arts education area.
Thank you, Allison. So we're now going to shift from the education and content team over to the external team. So this is our group of staff that is spending a lot of time with the people, serving members, serving chapters, and engaging with different members of the community. So let's shift over to Dan.
Thanks, Julie. My name's Dan Durger, and I'm the Membership Outreach Manager here at EdTA, and I'm celebrating my 31st year in education. I spent 15 years as a high school theater arts and English language arts teacher, and 15 years as a college professor. And actually, the picture of me on the slide is at my most recent job in higher ed, which was at the University of Hawaii. My key responsibilities are membership outreach, so I'm working on strategies with all the chapters to both grow and diversify membership in EdTA and ITS. And I'm a proud alum of Troop 1256 at Oak Hills High School in Cincinnati, Ohio. And what I'm most proud of at EdTA is that I get to help other students have that same great experience I had as a high school thespian. I admit, as a high school student, I took it for granted. I thought every single high school had thespian troops. It wasn't until I graduated and started working here, I realized that was not the case. So I'm happy to be part of making that the case for all students.
Thank you, Dan. And I get questions sometimes, do we have theater teachers on our staff? And having Dan's experience in education has been really helpful as we continue to grow our services. In addition to having former theater teachers and thespian alum on staff with Dan, we have lots of other thespian alum on staff, and one of them is Taylor, who I'd like to introduce you to right now.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Taylor Davis, and I am a membership service specialist. As Julie mentioned, I am a thespian alum of troop number 3161, Owensboro High School in Owensboro, Kentucky. And fun fact, so is my little sister, who is pictured in that photo with me. After graduating from high school, I went on to study theater at Murray State University. And while I was in college, I also served on the Kentucky Thespian Chapter Board. And I only left the board when I found myself here working at EdTA. So it's been a really cool journey to have spent so many years with ITS and EdTA being a part of my life. My key responsibilities are I am on the other end of that phone. We're a team of 3 who serve as membership support, and we're always here to answer any questions that our teachers, parents, students have about what ITS and EdTA can do for them. And more specifically, I also serve as the liaison between our trophy and apparel vendors. I'm most proud of our ability to build and maintain meaningful connections with our members. It's a really very special feeling to answer a phone call, talk to a teacher, talk to a student, help them figure out what they need, and then to see them out in the world and just to have that interaction and know what it means for us to be a part of their students' lives. So here are some membership fun facts about our team and the things that we do and see every single day. When I first started working for EdTA back in September of 2017, I was living in Lexington, Kentucky and working here in Cincinnati, which means I was commuting 80 miles each direction just to get to work every day, 5 days a week. It was nothing for me. It was so important to be here and do what we do and see what we see every single day. So it was worth it just to make it happen. During the first week of August of each year is when the membership team bills for annual renewal dues for over 5,000 troops, which means at the beginning of each year, along with the support of the Project Support Services team, we stuff over 5,000 renewal notices into envelopes. It's really exciting. Back on October 9th, the membership team emailed, faxed, and or called 1,523 troops that had not yet renewed for the 1920 school year. But by November 21st, 1,241 of those troops had renewed, which means we were making those numbers change and keeping troops here. Since January 1st of 2019, the 3 of us in the Membership Service Center have sent over 26,230 emails. And let me tell you, that keeps climbing every single day. And as of December 2019, the membership team of 8 has worked at EdTA for almost as long as ITS has existed. If you add it all up, our time here at EdTA adds up to a combined 85 years.
That is amazing. And I've seen those stacks and stacks of envelopes in those bins. And boy, this group has a lot of interaction with members. It's pretty incredible. The next person I want to introduce you to is Ginny. And one thing that's neat about Ginny and the EdTA staff is you can start in one area, grow, and move into another area. And Ginny has had a lot of different jobs at EdTA, but I'll let her tell you about the one that she's doing right now.
Hi, I'm Jenny Butch, and I'm the Community Engagement Manager here at EdTA. I was inducted as a thespian in high school, and I've been here now for over 13 years. So this mission and the organization has meant a lot to me for a really long time. My fun fact is that I used to climb a bridge for a living, and before I started working here, I found a job leading tours over the top of the Purple People Bridge. It's a pedestrian bridge that goes over the Ohio River, and for a brief period, you were allowed to just climb over the top. So that's what I did several times a day. My key responsibilities here at EdTA are managing the online community, Jumpstart Theater, and our awards, grants, and scholarships. And I'm most proud of just being able to support and empower teachers. My mother was a teacher, she's now retired, but I've grown up around education and teachers my whole life, and I think they're kind of real life superheroes. So I'm very honored to be able to do what I do.
Thank you, Jenny. So one thing that I think is really neat about the EdTA staff is that several of our staff have moved to Cincinnati for the job. They felt that this mission and association was so important and these jobs are so unique that they moved across the country and picked up their lives so that they could work here. And several folks that are on this call have done that. One of them I'm about to introduce to you is Mary Ann, who just moved from Florida to Cincinnati because she believed in this mission. So Mary Ann.
Thanks, Julie, and hello, everyone. I am, as Julie said, Mary Ann Fiala. I'm the Director of Chapter and Communities at EdTA, and my key responsibility I've really boiled down to as making it easier for volunteers to do what they need to do to be successful as they work to serve EdTA. I'm ashamed to say that when it comes to theater, I peaked in 5th grade with my role as Mrs. Cratchit in A Christmas Carol. I had not been on stage, at least in an acting capacity, since then. In fact, when I signed up for concert choir, which was an elective in high school, the choir director asked me to mouth the words. And subsequent to that, I have actually been paid not to sing. So my fun fact is that I am a quintessential audience member, and the picture that you see is a picture of my husband and I waiting to see a production of Beautiful that featured a lot of people that could sing beautifully. I think what inspires me most about this organization is that whether thespians go on to pursue a career in theater or whether they go on to pursue other careers, the lessons that the theater education provides them are skills that they will use regardless of what they do in life. And I am thrilled to be able to be a part of that. And Julie, back to you.
So now we're going to bring Hans back, who is another example of somebody who has moved to Cincinnati for the job. And he's going to summarize the work of that circle team, the external team. Hans?
Great, thanks, Julie. As you may have derived from a couple of my team members who've introduced themselves over the course of this webinar, we are the people of the organization. Our core work is made up of membership, which is providing outstanding service and support to our members and potential members to support recruitment and retention efforts. They build engagement with non-members to move them towards membership so that everybody has access to a quality theater education. Our chapter relations team provides tools and support mechanisms to enable chapters to grow as sustainable business units. And we coordinate our student leadership programming through the International Thespian Officers, as well as facilitating connections to state-based student leadership programs and coordinating our scholarship matching program. And our community engagement coordinates with staff to maximize our engagement tools, services, and platforms such as awards, grants and scholarships, our online community, the Teaching Artist Directory, Mentor Match, and the Career Center, as well as providing support, guidance, best practices, and documentation for our amazing Jumpstart Theater regional partners. And that's the external team.
Thank you, Hans. So we are going to shift from the external team into our third circle team, which is infrastructure. And before we do that, I want to mention that there's the Q&A in the chat. We're getting to the home stretch here of our slides. So if anybody has any questions about the EdTA staff, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll answer them at the end. Now I'm going to turn it over to Brian, who's going to talk about the infrastructure team, which handles all the things that you can see on this slide. Brian.
Thanks again, Julie. My team, the infrastructure team, manages finance, operations, and HR and technology. We're the cool kids, the ones behind the stage, the ones that you might never see, but keep things running. We're the ones who keep your personal data safe. We keep the power on, the computers working. We protect our members' investment in EdTA. We protect our people on the stage. We manage our risk. Ultimately, our job is to ensure that our staff have the tools they need to deliver all the spectacular experiences that our members want to have. So from here, we will move forward.
Thank you, Brian. So we've now talked about our three circle teams, the education and content team, the external team, and the infrastructure team. The piece we haven't talked about yet is the Educational Theater Foundation, or ETF, which is a separate arm of organization. And our job on ETF is to raise money to help support the entire organization as well as to reach the underserved. And the visionary behind ETF is Marion Combs, and he will take it away right now.
Hi, Julie. It's great to be with everyone this morning. My fun fact is that I played defensive tackle in high school because I had to put an athletic fun fact because I was forcibly retired from theater in the 4th grade after my first role. So anyway, if you know me well, you'd be just as surprised that I had an athletic fun fact as a theater would. My key responsibilities are to work with gift and grant revenue for the Educational Theater Foundation, and also to work with the business development team that works with our sponsors, advertisers, exhibitors, and our higher education partners that audition our great thespians. I think the thing I'm most proud of working with the Educational Theater Association is that I've spent about half my life working with historically Black colleges and universities and civil rights museums, and this just is an extension of that passion to increase access to school theater for our underserved students. Then we're going to move on a little bit to our next slide about the core work for development and for the foundation. And by the way, the photos that you see on the slide, one of our special events in New York that we use for fundraising, but also both individual and thespian troupe recipients of some of our grants, scholarships, and awards. But we work to engage donors to build gift, grant, and special event revenue to increase access and excellence. We engage business partners that we've already mentioned, sponsors, advertisers, exhibitors, auditioners. We work with our chapters and our troops to set up investment funds, endowment funds to help them manage their funds carefully, responsibly. And then we manage the support systems that underlie both the charitable and business partner revenues. So it's great to visit with you and enjoy working with you, and give me a call anytime.
Thanks, Marion. So wrapping up here, one of the questions I get the most often is, how do I contact the staff, or how do I know who to contact for what? If you go on our website, you will see all the way on the right in the navigation bar, the About section, and there's a section for Contact Us. When you land on that page, you'll see that we've got the team divided into different departments to help you find those things that you might often be looking for, such as questions about the International Thespian Festival, or chapter relations, or if you have publications, editorial ideas, or a writer. You can always go right to one of these department emails, and then everyone in the department will get your question, and someone will get back to you to answer it. The other thing that we've chosen to do is make every single one of our staff members accessible on the website, which means most of the time we'll get spam, or we'll hear from people that aren't our members. So if you are a member and you have a question or you have feedback, we would love to hear from you. You can go on our national office staff, you can see everyone's pictures, you can click right on the contact, and it will connect directly to their email. So feel free to contact any of us. And if you're not sure, if you get the wrong person, we can always forward you to the right person. We also actually answer the phone. You met Taylor earlier, who spends a lot of time on the phone. If you call our main phone number during business hours, you will actually talk to a live person, and we will get you the service or question that you answer the question that you have. And finally, I want to end with what really drives our staff in terms of how we work together every day is the core values. And we may do a whole nother webinar on this someday, but just to give you a snapshot, our first core value is that people matter. And the idea is that every single person makes a difference. And I've seen that with so many people on this webinar, where one person can come in and have an idea or follow through on something, and it can have incredible impact and ripple effects. So our most valuable asset is our people, and we need to treat each other well, and we need to build each other. The second is strive for excellence. The staff is not perfect, and no one is perfect, but we are always striving to be better. We are always looking for innovation. We're looking to learn what we've can from our members and use that to drive change, positive change. And you will see lots of innovation out of this group because of that. The third is work together, and the idea there is the best results come through a team. Sometimes it's easier to do it yourself or quicker to do it yourself, but it's better when you do it together and you go farther together. So we do a lot of work on how we work together and making sure that that's productive and supportive. And then finally, be the person you want to work with, which is bring joy and optimism to your work and to the people around you. We all rub off on each other in positive and negative ways. So bringing our most positive self will really help build our culture and give us the best impact. So those are our core values. And I want to see if anyone has any other questions on the webinar. One question I'd like to answer is, if you're interested in being part of the EdTA staff, how can you do that? I will tell you that we post all of our job openings on the Career Center, which is accessible from the homepage. We have several open jobs right now. We also post them on LinkedIn and other job sites. Or talk to us because, you know, as the staff has grown and changed over the years, new opportunities may come about. Corey is a great example of someone that we worked with as a consultant who now has joined our staff. So that's always a possibility. I want to thank everyone for their time and their interest in getting to know the EdTA staff. This webinar will be recorded and put on YouTube. It's public, as all of our town hall webinars have been. So please encourage your friends and colleagues to watch. Thanks so much and have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.